Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a pleasure to be here with you today as we continue to study the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today our topic is Arjuna marrying Krishna's sister, Subhadra. So this is quite an exciting episode. And so before I start speaking, we will continue our tradition of just chanting some prayers from the Bhagavatam as an invocation, giving people time to arrive as well. These are some famous and inspirational verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Verse 40. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyashaya Lokasya Nanyam Svastyaya Namahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Text 41. Tad idam grahayam asya sutam atmatvatam baram sarva vedi tavasanam saram saram samudritam. Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who was the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of the Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Verse 42. Satu samshravayam asa maharajam parikshitam prayopavasitam gangyam paritam paramarshibhi. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. And this will be the last verse that I chant, 1:3:43. Krishna svadhama pagate Narma janari bisaha Kalo nastadrisham hesha Puranar kadhanodita. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Wonderful. For me, that verse really speaks to the position of the Bhagavatam and the mission of the Bhagavatam. It has arisen just after Krishna's own abode because it is Krishna's literary incarnation. So Krishna leaves and then the Bhagavatam arises to provide shelter after Krishna's departure. And who is it providing shelter to? People in the age of Kali. So we in the age of Kali, we have been given this Bhagavatam as a special gift or a special treasure to give us light, to give us guidance in navigating this dense and dark age. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being here with me. If you want to leave a message in the chat, that'll be nice as well. Just say hello, and I can direct my comments to you. Otherwise, we will get started. Let me acknowledge some of you. So, Balabohit, Smoky Kid, Ken Explores, Ishwari Sundari, Ajay Hole, Diane Ordale. Let's see, Rasika Govinda 26, Chaitanya Prem. Oh, there's Kirtida joining us. Kirtida is a regular participant here. Balabohit says, Namastubyam. Namastubyam to you. Kirtida sending some flower offering. So thank you all for joining this discussion. And we have Achutananda joining us as well from Facebook. Wonderful. So grateful to have your association. Our topic today is, so this class happens twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. Our topic today is Arjuna marries Krishna's sister, Subhadra, and it's based on the 10th Canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 86. Recently, at a festival in Texas, Sadhu Sangha festival, I was speaking to the servant of one of the sannyasis, one of the gurus there, and he was telling me how his Guru Maharaj was ill and exhausted, but kept accepting invitations, kept accepting programs. And he was trying to get his Guru Maharaj to take less programs. And I thought that this was an interesting dynamic where the disciple takes the role of carer and protector of their spiritual master and then starts trying to influence their decisions and their commitments and activities. And what I was thinking is how this can only take place at a level of intimacy. So generally the relationship between disciple and the spiritual master is reverential, and the mood is service, so servant to master relationship. But at some point, that relationship can become more intimate, and then the disciple starts to try to influence the spiritual master, and the spiritual master lovingly accepts that role of being directed and guided by their disciple. And so you might have experienced this either in the relationship with your guru or other relationships as well, where we're in a relationship with a level of familiarity or intimacy, it comes to a point where the relationships can even, the partners in the relationship can even appear to be going against each other's will, but it's out of love. So we're going to see something of that today in the relationship between Krishna and his brother Balaram in relation to their sister Subhadra and who she marries. So once again, we're discussing Canto 10, chapter 86. And I see Kirtida has a message here. Kirtida says, not possible for me to open the lecture on Facebook. Let's see, Achutananda managed somehow. Nikunja has as well. So yeah, it seems, Kirtida, that others are managing. So I'm not sure what the trick is. But we have Achutananda with us from the UK. Let's see here. We have Achutananda says Hari Bol. We have Nikunja joining us from Auckland, New Zealand. Nikunja says Hari Krishna Shri Palad Prabhu. Hari Bol Nikunja, thank you for joining. Great to see you again. It's been a little while because we had that long pause with our classes. Pavan is with us. Pavan says Radhe Radhe. Welcome, Pavan. Thanks for being here. Monica Sharma is with us from Sydney, Australia. Monica says Hari Krishna Prabhu. And then Alicia's with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Alicia says, Hari Krishna Prabhu, hope you're safe, well. I'm glad I could join your class today. Nectar, mate. Thanks, Alicia. Great to have you with us. So yeah, hopefully, Kirtida, you can get that to work. Otherwise, Instagram seems to be working all right as well. So once again, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 86. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're going to discuss this chapter under 3 headings. 1, Arjuna's disguise, based on verses 1 to 4. 2, Arjuna and Subhadra's mutual attraction, verses 5 to 8. And then 3, kidnap and reconciliation. So let's just give a little context to where we are in the Bhagavatam. We're starting chapter 86, and the previous chapter, 85, had been a description of how Devaki had requested Krishna to bring back her 6 sons who had been killed by Kamsa. And after, our acharyas tell us that after Sukadeva Goswami completed that narration describing that pastime, and Sukadeva Goswami started to feel anxious that Parikshit started to feel anxious that Sukadeva Goswami's narration was coming to a close. And therefore, with great eagerness and anticipation, he asks Sukadeva Goswami a new question. And that's how this chapter begins. O revered Brahmana, we yearn to hear how the heroic Arjuna won the hand of Lord Balaram and Krishna's sister, Subhadra, who was also my esteemed grandmother. Share with us this wonderful story. So Parikshit, the emperor, is asking how his grandmother and grandfather, his grandmother Subhadra, the sister of Krishna and Balaram, came to marry his grandfather Parikshit, Arjuna. So Sukadeva Goswami tells us the story then. He says, during his wanderings throughout Bharat, visiting holy places, Arjuna eventually arrived in the sacred place called Prabhas. Prabhas is a place by the ocean, north, I believe, of Dvaraka. You can visit it even today. Very famous holy place. There are many temples there, many shrines. It's also a place where the Saraswati, a river that is said to be the Saraswati, reaches the sea as well. So that Sangam is considered very auspicious. And so Arjuna, he arrives at this place, Prabhas Kshetra. Maybe one of you can tell us why that place is particularly famous. I'm going to leave it open. And if one of you want to write it into the chat, that could be a little exercise for you. And so while Arjuna was there, he heard some news. And the news was this, that Lord Balaram had decided to betroth his sister, Subhadra, in marriage to Duryodhana. Arjuna was very disturbed hearing this, of course, because Duryodhana was very inimical to him and the other Pandavas, Yudhisthira, Bhima, Nakul, and Sahadev. Duryodhana had sought to kill them in different ways. And Subhadra, she was very dear to him. She's Krishna's sister. She's also his cousin as well. And Arjuna found that not only was he disturbed hearing this news, but he found that others were also not happy with this plan, with this arrangement. There were murmurs of discontent and disapproval that were spread through the ranks of the wise and the noble. And so he decided that he was going to marry Subhadra himself. He developed this determination. And he developed a very daring plan how he was going to achieve this. And it was this. He disguised himself as a Tridandi sannyasi. So this is also noteworthy that when he adopted the sannyas garb, he did not adopt Ekadasa sannyas, but rather he took Tridandi sannyas, which is a Vaishnava sannyas. Mentioned elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, another famous Tridandi sannyasi mentioned in the Bhagavatam is the Avanti Brahmana. He becomes the Avanti Sannyasi, and Avanti Trinandi Swami. And so with his triple staff in hand, symbolizing his renunciation, his sannyas, and a demeanor that concealed his deeper intentions, he went to the resplendent city of Dvaraka, which was the capital of the Yadus. It is the place where Krishna resided with his 16,108 queens. It was the place where Balaram resided along with the other great Yadus. And beneath this simple attire of a sannyasi mendicant, Arjuna was concealing a heart, the heart of a warrior that was throbbing with resolve to defy fate and claim Subhadra as his beloved queen. So we can pause here and just reflect briefly. We can reflect on the importance of inquiry. So this chapter is being narrated because Parikshit has posed a question. And this is the way for us to develop spiritual knowledge. We must inquire submissively. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pariprashnena Sevaya. Inquire submissively from the spiritual master. Also engage in service. So Parikshit is the perfect example of the disciple who inquires submissively. Because he's inquiring, Sukadeva Goswami is inspired to share. And we are all benefiting. And so the lesson for you and I is to cultivate the spirit of inquiry. Knowledge is not merely absorbed, it is pursued, it is uncovered through questioning and earnest seeking. By asking questions, we open ourselves to this deeper wisdom, this deeper learning by the grace of Krishna and Guru. Another lesson for you and I is just to think about this relationship here. I discussed, or I hinted at it already, Balaram's plan to marry Subhadra to Duryodhana. Why? Why would he do this? It seems contrary. It was contrary to the desires of many of the other Yarus who were not happy with it. And then we learned that it didn't bring joy to Krishna either. He was not happy with this plan. And so why is Balaram doing this? And we see that in close relationships between devotees, a relationship with the spiritual master, actions can sometimes appear to conflict with another's desire, yet they may be motivated by a deeper purpose. And in this case, our acharyas tell us that Balaram's intention was to bring more excitement to Krishna's pastimes. So he created this context where there will be more flavor in Krishna's Leela. And so with that intention, then he is appearing to go against Krishna's will. But in fact, he's not against Krishna's will at all. He's doing something to ultimately will bring Krishna great pleasure. Let's go to our second topic, Arjuna and Subhadra's mutual attraction, based on verses 5 to 8. So Arjuna, in his disguise as a sannyasi, he found refuge in the vibrant city of Dvaraka, just as the monsoon rains were beginning to pour. That is at the beginning of Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya is the 5 months of the rainy season. So just at the beginning of that rainy season, Arjuna arrives in Dvaraka, and that is a time when sannyasis should stay put. Generally, sannyasis travel, but during the Chaturmasya, the 4 months of the rainy season, they stay in one place. And so Arjuna has an excuse to remain in Dvaraka for 4 months on the pretext of his being a sannyasi. The city, of course, is unaware of his true identity, but they are very respectful towards sadhus. And so they embrace him with open arms, they offer him honor, they offer him the hospitality befitting a holy person. Indeed, Balaram himself, without recognizing his guest, treated him with the utmost respect and warmth. And at the end of Chaturmasya, Lord Balaram invited Arjuna to his home as his distinguished guest to serve him dinner. So the atmosphere was very beautiful in Balaram's residence. It was filled with the fragrance of the delicious food. And Arjuna, he partook of that food offered by Lord Balaram. And as he was eating, his eyes set upon Subhadra, a beautiful maiden who captivated the hearts of heroes. His eyes widened with awe, his mind became filled with emotion. He was enchanted by thoughts of her. And then he noticed that Subhadra was also drawn to him. From the moment she laid eyes on him, she sensed that he was not really a sannyasi, that there was something else going on. And she had a deep yearning for him within her heart, with this understanding that there was something deeper to him than his external appearance revealed. She had a sweet and shy smile, and these were accompanied by tender sidelong glances, and they spoke to Arjuna of a deep affection within her heart. And so Arjuna left Balaram's palace, but his heart remained with Subhadra. He was consumed in thoughts of her, and he longed for the moment when he would claim her as his bride. So we can pause here as well and think about, just reflect on what we have discussed here. Subhadra, she can see through Arjuna's disguise. And this is interesting because Balaram cannot. So we can wonder again, how is this possible that Subhadra can see through it, but Balaram, who's the Supreme Lord, he should know everything? Why is it, or how is it that he's been deceived here? How is it that he's unable to understand the truth of the matter, even though he's the supreme absolute truth? So an apparent contradiction here that we should explore a little. So our acharyas explain this. They tell us that it is a wonderful arrangement of Krishna's Leela Shakti, Krishna's pastime potency, which allows the divine to fully engage in pastimes of loving relationships. Our acharyas explain that although Krishna and Balaram, they know everything, when they are deeply immersed in their pastimes, they forget their divinity at different levels. So when, for example, Krishna is stealing butter from Mother Yasoda, and then she chases him to punish him and cries tears of fear, our acharyas say Krishna is not pretending. Those are real tears, not crocodile tears. And so Krishna becomes forgetful of his divinity in loving relationships, particularly in Vrindavan. Generally in Dwarka, he's fully aware of his divinity. Or more aware of his divinity. In Vaikuntha, he's fully aware. So here, by the arrangement of Leela Shakti, that Balaram, he's been bewildered by Arjuna's disguise. Now, our acharyas raise an important question. They say, well, if Krishna and Balaram have forgotten their divinity as they engage in these loving pastimes, when we pray, with a heart full of devotion to these sweet lords engaged in sweet pastimes, how will they hear our prayers? Particularly those of us who aspire to achieve Sri Vrindavan Dham, and we are praying to Radha Murli Dhara, we're praying to Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Giridhari. If they are forgetful of their divinity, how will our prayers be heard? This is a very wonderful question posed by our acharyas, specifically Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asks this question. And he concludes by saying, even if Krishna is forgetful in his pastimes of love, when we pray with love in our hearts, with love and devotion, then despite Krishna being forgetful, Mugdata, he will nonetheless hear our prayers. The prayers will be received and responded to, regardless of the divine play that may be unfolding. And so, a lesson for us, we should be encouraged in our devotion. We should trust in Krishna's responsiveness to our sincere prayers, because divine love, it transcends all boundaries and forgetfulness. And our heartful devotion is a powerful conduit through which we connect with Krishna, with Balaram, with Srimati Radharani. And so we should never lose faith in the power of love, loving devotion, knowing that love and devotion is always heard and cherished and responded to by Krishna. All right, let's go to our third topic then, kidnap and reconciliation, verses 9 to 13. So once during a grand temple chariot festival in honor of Lord Vishnu, the atmosphere was filled with music and color and devotion. In fact, Rath Yatra. So we just celebrated Rath Yatra here in New York City on Saturday, a couple of days ago. Wonderful festival. Fifth Avenue was closed down, and 3 large, magnificent chariots with Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra paraded down one of the most famous streets and the most famous cities in the world. And so in Dvaraka, then a Rath Yatra was being celebrated at the end of Chaturmasya. And Subhadra, she came out of the palace, which was like a fortress. She came out of the palace adorned in her finest garments, and she was riding a chariot to join that procession. And in the midst of this joyful celebration, Arjuna seized his opportunity. His heart burning with passionate resolve, he took the bold step of kidnapping Subhadra. This plan was in fact sanctioned by Krishna and Subhadra's parents as well. And so, standing tall in his chariot with his bow in hand, he confronted the valiant soldiers and guards who were protecting Subhadra and dared to obstruct his path. He drove off those who opposed him and took Subhadra away, his chariot speeding like a lion claiming its prey from lesser animals, demonstrating both his strength and his deep love for Subhadra. Now, when Balaram heard news of his sister Subhadra's being kidnapped, he became very angry. His fury was as turbulent as the ocean under the full moon. Waves of anger and indignant, frustration, they moved within him. However, Krishna, he was able to calm Balaram. He gently held Balaram's feet and spoke sweet words to pacify him, explaining that Subhadra was also in love with Arjuna, and that this was in fact sanctioned by Krishna and Subhadra's parents as well. And so when Balaram understood that this was a divine arrangement and that there was deep love between Arjuna and Subhadra, his heart softened and he recognized this was a union that was destined to be. And so he embraced the situation and he sent the newlyweds many, many wedding gifts. They included, what would you like for your wedding? Chariots, elephants, horses, servants, and of course his blessings for their union with prosperity and grandeur. So we can pause here again and reflect. One thing to consider is the importance of communication here. There's Arjuna. Yes, he kidnapped Subhadra, but he also communicated with Subhadra's brother, Krishna, and her parents as well. And then there was the silent communication between him and Subhadra, where each knew the other's heart. And so, because of this, then when Balaram was initially upset and angered because he was unaware of these arrangements, he was quickly pacified once he understood from Krishna the true situation. So something else that we can learn here is how respectful communication can resolve misunderstandings. Krishna's approaching and pacifying Balaram with respect demonstrates how conflict can be resolved through thoughtful dialogue, humility, and empathy. And so in our own lives, we should seek to resolve conflicts with humility and seek to communicate clearly, to involve others in our decisions, ensuring that everyone is on the same page with understandings. And then when misunderstandings do arise, approach them with respect and empathy and a willingness to explain and listen to try to restore harmony. So we can conclude with a prayer to summarize our discussion today. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or insights, please do put them into the chat and we can explore this further. Beloved Krishna, grant us the spirit of humble inquiry like King Pariksit, who sought knowledge of you with fervent questions, never content to passively receive. Let our minds be ever eager to delve deeper into the mysteries of your appearance and loving pastimes with your devotees. Teach us to see beyond appearances, as Balaram's intentions in seeking to marry Subhadra to Duryodhana, though misunderstood, served a greater joy in your divine pastimes. May our actions too be guided by a higher purpose, fostering spiritual well-being and deeper connections in your service. Since you cannot tolerate any offense against your devotees, please guide us in the art of loving exchanges, to speak with respect and empathy, ensuring harmony in our relationships. Following Arjuna in his desire to marry Subhadra, may we always seek the consent and understanding of you and your devotees, fostering unity and resolving conflicts with humility and grace. O Lord of hearts, let us remember that our sincere prayers, born of love and devotion, are always heard by you. Even when your divine play obscures your divinity, your heart responds to our deepest calls. Strengthen our faith in the power of our devotion, knowing that our love is cherished by you. So let me acknowledge some of you who joined us after I started speaking. Premeshwari, joining us from Sydney, says, lovely prayer. Thank you. Thanks, Premeshwari. So let's see here. We have an Kirtan who's joined us from Manly in Sydney, Australia. Thanks for being here, Ananda, and thank you for your message. I will respond. Thank you for sharing your news. And I'm going to be visiting Sydney in July. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Ananda. Nikunja says, Prabhash is the place where Krishna's pastimes of leaving this planet took place when the arrow was shot by the hunter. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Nikunja. So that was a question I asked of all of you. What is Prabhash famous for? It's famous as the place where the Yadus engaged in a internal conflict between themselves. They were observing a religious festival. They went to Prabhash to observe a religious festival because Prabhash is considered a holy place. They left Varka, went to Prabhash, and then after the festival, they gave charity, but then they were on the beach by the ocean, and they drank an intoxicant, a liquor. And with that drinking, with that intoxication, then they started to speak loosely, and in their loose talk, they started to offend one another. They spoke about who performed well or badly, who didn't fight that well during the Kurukshetra war. And then this led to conflict between them. They took some reeds that were growing on the shore of the ocean. And as they took those reeds, they turned to iron bars. There's a longer story behind those reeds and why they became iron bars. And we will be discussing that in the not too distant future. So we're coming to the conclusion of the 10th canto. We'll start the 11th, where this pastime is described. Anyway, to summarize, those iron bars were used to kill them. So they killed one another as they fought. They also attacked Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna and Balaram defended themselves. And after that, basically the Yadus they destroyed one another in that conflict. And then Krishna went and sat under a tree. And that's where the hunter named Jara shot his foot with an arrow, thinking it to be a deer's face. So Krishna took that opportunity to leave this world. So we'll discuss that in more detail in the coming months, we can say, as we conclude the 10th canto and begin the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shamalaki is with us. Shamalaki, joining us from Chicago, says pranams. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining. And then Ananda Kirtan says, lovely class. Thanks, Ananda. I'm grateful for your presence and your appreciation. So this is Diane from Las Vegas says, thank you. Thank you, Diane. Grateful to have you with us. Joining us from Las Vegas. And then Kirtida says, thank you. Grateful for your class. Thanks, Kirtida. Always grateful for your presence here in these classes. All right, so we will conclude there for today. We will continue on Wednesday. Actually, wait for the announcement on that because there's a wedding that I'm attending on Wednesday at the Bhakti Center. Radhanath Maharaj will be there as well. So it starts at 2, classes at 4. I don't know that the wedding will finish before the class. So I will make an announcement whether or not we'll have a class on Wednesday. If not, then definitely on next Monday. So may you deepen your taste for hearing and chanting, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. May you deepen your appreciation for Krishna's appearance in the form of his holy name. May you chant with attention and relish. May you deepen your appreciation for Krishna in the form of his deity, that you can take the opportunity, deity, whether in stone or brass or as a painting, you can appreciate Krishna's form and have the opportunity to serve by offering a leaf or a flower or fruit or your food before eating. May you deepen your appreciation for places where Krishna's pastimes are performed, the holy dhams of Vrindavan or Mayapur or any temple where the deity is served. May you deepen your appreciation for devotees. It is by the mercy of the Vaishnavas that we receive the seed of bhakti, and it is in their association that we cultivate the seed of bhakti, that it grows into a full blooming creeper with fruits and flowers and then fruits of love. And through this association, may you develop loving relationships with Vaishnavas that further nourish your bhakti. And may your heart soften through practices of bhakti that inspire you to share the treasures of bhakti with others. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. I see there's a question here from Ganga Seva. So let me take this last minute question here from Ganga Seva. Says, thank you for your very nice class. Yes, Rath Yatra New York was live. It was amazing. Okay, so you're here, Ganga Seva. I didn't realize that. Very interesting to see Lord Balaram very angry in the situation, and then he's softened by the prayers and sweet words of his devotees. Similar situation, he came as a messenger to speak with the Kurus. That's right, before the Kurukshetra war. Duryodhana was shouting at him. At that moment, nobody could look at him. Lord Balaram wanted to destroy the city. But later on, the same Duryodhana pacified him. What lesson is he teaching us here as Adi Guru? Okay, that was a slightly different situation. Balaram went to Hastinapura to secure the release of Krishna's son Samba, who had been captured by the Yadus, by the Kurus. Samba had taken Duryodhana's daughter, and they were together. And this made Duryodhana very angry. And so they captured Samba and kept him as a prisoner. And so the Yadus, they wanted to send an army to secure Samba's release. But Balaram said, no, let me go and pacify them, and I will bring Samba back. So we see Balaram here as the peacemaker. Balaram takes this role very often in Krishna's pastimes, where he resolves conflicts and tensions on Krishna's behalf. He was a messenger who went to Vrindavan to pacify the Brajbasis. They were feeling so much separation from Krishna. They were angry at Krishna. Balaram went to Vrindavan and stayed there for some months to make them peaceful. We also saw that when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, and then he was punishing Rukmini's brother Rukmi, who gave chase to Krishna and was trying to take Rukmini away from him and kill Krishna. So Krishna captured him and was punishing him. And then Balaram arrived and he more or less pacified Rukmini, who was very disturbed by what Krishna was doing to her brother. And he also scolded Krishna lovingly, told Krishna not to mistreat his brother-in-law. And so Krishna, he also was made peaceful, and he just cut Rukmi's hair as a kind of an insult, but he didn't kill him as he was preparing to do. And so we see, and then in that case that you're describing, where the Yadus wanted to go and attack the Kurus, and in Hastinapur, we see Balaram takes the role of a peacemaker. He makes peace. He also didn't fight in the Kurukshetra war because he wanted there to be peace between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And so as Adi Guru, then we see Balaram, he's taking this role of making peace. Jagai and Madai, they also were deserving of punishment. And Balaram told Lord Chaitanya, no, don't kill them. Purify them. You forgive them and purify them. And so Balaram also, so he intervenes to make peace between other souls and Krishna. And so as Adi Guru, he's doing this for us as well. As Adi Guru, he comes, he gives us transcendental knowledge, and he wants us to make peace with Krishna after we have rejected Krishna, after we've tried to compete with Krishna, after we're trying to take Krishna's property to enjoy for ourselves. Balaram, he wants to resolve this relationship. He wants to reunite us, to reconnect us with Krishna again. So yeah, a very wonderful role that Balaram plays as a messenger and peacemaker between Krishna and others, including the conditioned souls. So thank you for that question, Ganga Seva. Thank you, Shama Lucky, for your gratitude here. We wish you all well, and we'll conclude once again. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Vol.